Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we're super happy to have you here. And if you've been listening and enjoying for a while, I would be super grateful if you would please take a moment to give us a review on Apple Podcasts. It's one of the best and simplest ways to pay it forward and help others find the show so that they too can tap into the powerful perspectives and positive vibrations we are collectively emanating. The other unique and magical way to share this show is by sending any friends you think would benefit from listening to this podcast our Game with the Universe link at positivehead.com/game. Also listed in the show notes, which will serve them up a quote-unquote random episode when they click it. Just instruct them before clicking the link to close their eyes for a moment and sincerely ask the universe to cue up the episode that contains the insight and perspectives that they most need to hear at this point in their life journey, and then click to listen to whatever episode is synchronistically served up to them. I have heard time and time again from people about the incredible results they received playing the game. So just tell your friends magical results are guaranteed or their karma back.
Hello out there in Positive Head listener land. I'm so happy to be here with you all today. It's always a super honor and a pleasure for me to do this. And today I'm really excited to talk about some of my favorite topics. Today I was thinking we would talk about raising our vibrations, what this becoming aware journey is really about. And that involves also talking about our higher self and the synchronicities involved. So lots of fun topics to get into today. But before I do, like we love to do here, I'm going to read a review, which we are always super grateful for. And if you haven't left one yet, please do so. It really helps new listeners find us. And this review today is called, believe it or not, of course, since I picked this topic, of course, this review is called Synchronicities Everywhere. So I love how this works. I decided that I'm going to talk about synchronicity and higher self and becoming aware and raising our vibration. And then here's this beautiful review called Synchronicities Everywhere, written by Kentland85. She says, "Hi, Brandon. I've been listening to your podcast for about a year now. I was struggling and I was in a depressive state when a friend recommended that I give your podcast a listen. Your words and the insight of your guests have helped me to transform my entire mindset. I'm so grateful for your labor of love as I turn to your episodes regularly for love and support. The reason I'm writing this review is because I wanted to share a synchronicity I noticed over the weekend. A few days before I left for a festival this weekend, I listened to an episode that talked about asking the universe for what you need and want. I don't remember what episode it was, but it gave an example of going to a festival and not having a lighter, and then leaving the festival with more lighters than you need. I just got back from lightning in a bottle, and I had forgot to bring a book with me to read during any downtime. Well, while we were there sitting around camp, a guy came up and asked if anybody wanted any books, that he was looking for a small donation. I said I'd take one and gave him $5, in which he returned about 5 more books. I was sitting in my chair with my lap covered in books and just smiled. It was a very comforting moment from the universe that I wanted to share with you. I love this podcast so much, and I want to thank you for all the positivity it has brought into my life. Much love, Kristen." Yeah, Kristen, good job manifesting those books there. That's awesome. I love how that works. You know, you had that desire and it showed up for you. And that's how this works. You know, the more we desire something and then we ask for it and we actually put it out there into the universe, then the universe will respond. And that's one of the points I want to get into today, is about actually working with our higher self, working with our guides, working with all of those helpers that we have with us, and how that actually works. So there's many of us on different stages in this journey, whether we're new in this becoming aware journey or we've been in this for a really long time. The one thing that I've noticed a lot is that, especially in the beginning, when we're first learning and we're so excited and it's like, oh my God, I want everyone to get what I get, right? Like this person is sleeping and I want them to wake up because it's so much better here on the light side, right? And we want all of our loved ones to come along with us. But unfortunately, some of them just aren't quite ready yet. And we have to like give them their space and allow them to come to things in their own time. Right? Like we want to shake them awake. Like, come on, get it. But like, think about when you're sleeping. And this is a great analogy. Like you're sleeping and somebody comes up and like shakes you awake. And your first response is like, yo, what are you doing? Like, that's disturbing. Don't do that to me, right? So it's kind of like that. You know, we don't want to go around doing that to other people because really this is a journey that can only be taken on by the self, done for the self, by the self. Like no one else can do this for us. So really the best thing that we can do in this awakening journey is, like Gandhi said, to be the change. You know, it's starting to, be one of those amazing, great cliches, good, that we use, right? Be the change that we want to see in the world. That's really the only way that we can actually make a positive difference and help others then become more awake and aware. It's like we can provide little nuggets, little pieces if people are ready, but they have to ask, they have to want it. They have to have that motivation within their own self to even go there in the first place. So we can maybe like throw something out there and see how it's taken and then maybe roll with it. But if you throw it out there and the person's like, I don't think so, then, take a step back and just let them go on their own path, because I promise, I know this for sure. Everybody gets there. Everyone. Some people, it's going to take a whole lot longer. Some people, it's going to be instantaneous. But everybody gets there. It's just that everybody gets there in their own time. And we just need to be super respectful of that, because we don't want to go around disturbing anyone or waking them up all suddenly. And then they just you can almost turn in the other direction and get that cognitive dissonance thing that just gets stronger and says, no, thank you. And that's the last thing we want to do, right? So just be the change that we want to see in the world and work on ourselves. Yeah. So I have a question for everyone. And that question is, are you intuitive? Do you feel that you are intuitive? And what I'd like to remind everyone is, no matter where you are on that spectrum, you absolutely are intuitive. Every single one of you listening right now is intuitive. Whether you believe it or not, you absolutely are. And I'm going to tell you why. So, along our soul journey, right? We all come from source. At the beginning of creation, what was there? There was nothing until Creator realized, had an awareness that it was consciousness, that it had consciousness. And in that big bang moment of like, whoa, I am consciousness, I am everything, became the light and the sound and the vibration that then expanded out into everything that we know now. All of that love of the Creator was then reflected out to create the universes and us and everything that we know. So what happened? So the Creator wanted to learn. Yeah. Once this awareness was apparent, he said, or she said, or it said, because there is no gender here, wanted to learn and experience. So then it split itself off. So Creator could be everything, experience everything. Because in that place of the all you know everything. All you feel is love and peace and joy. And while that is absolutely wonderful, you also don't have this experience. You don't have like the ability to feel in a way that you can when you come down here and apparently separate yourself, because we're just apparently separated. We're not actually separated. It's just the illusion that we live in that makes us feel that we are separate from the oneness that we actually all are. So when the Creator then decided to learn and split off and separated to be everything and experience everything, then the different densities that we exist in were created. And I want to go into that just a little bit, just so I can explain what the higher self is and where it comes from. So the first thing, since we have to be everything and experience everything, the first thing we need to be and experience are the elements, which is the first density: earth, air, fire, and water. Every single one of us, when we first split off, was those things. We have to first experience that. So what comes second? Second density. And I'm using density here in a mathematical term because I don't want you to get it confused with dimension, because sometimes we use those terms interchangeably and they're a little different. So I'm using this in the density mathematical term 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So first density is the elements. The second density is what we know of as our plants and our animals. So after we've experienced being the elements, then we kind of graduate into the second phase where we are all the different plants and all the different animals. In that stage, we are a group consciousness, which is why we see flocks of birds move in one unified way, why we see what are they called? Herds of animals. They all know something at the exact same instant. It's because there is a group collective consciousness in this second density, which is not quite yet inspirited or has an individual soul quite yet, until you get to like late second density, which is going to be like your pets that you live with at home, the dogs, the cats, the horses, if you have horses, if you're so lucky to have horses. And even the trees that we play in. I love that trees are actually, or can be, inspirited because of their interaction with human beings. And that's the thing that helps to bring a soul or a spirit into form, into one of these beings, is interaction with humans and learning the lessons of love. Because as we move from second density into third density, which is what we as humans are living in now, we are here to learn the lessons of love. And when we start learning that in late second density, that's when we can graduate into third and become a human. So that's where we are right now. Obviously, I didn't need to tell you that we're all in our human bodies, doing our third density thing, learning lessons of love. But once we do that, once we learn, and we're actually here, we have to polarize. We have to make a choice whether we want to be living here in service to others or service to ourselves. And we have all these different experiences that we chose before we got here to help us make those decisions. And we chose that with some help from our higher self. We chose our lessons. We chose our soul contracts. We chose all the people in our life that were going to help us make these choices and to learn these lessons. And every single lesson is an opportunity for our growth. So moving on with the densities. So once we learn and we make our choice, we are able to then graduate or ascend, like this whole process that we're going through right now. Earth is already in fourth density, and hopefully we can move along with her, right? But once we move into fourth density, that is the density of pure love. So there, love is all we know, and it's not quite so veiled as this third density experience is. And by the veil, I mean that disconnect between the consciousness and the higher self. Because right now, in third density, there's this veil that it's really tough for us to see past, right? Hard for us to really listen and know of the all. But once we get into fourth density, we have a lot more understanding of that all and of the love, and we see it, and we see that there is no separation. So I can't wait to get there. I don't know about you guys, but like that just sounds amazing to me, where like everything is known. So people can't be dishonest. It's like the telepathic connections are there. The heart is open. And that's all we see with one another is that connection, is that heart connection. So once we learn about all the love we can in fourth density, then we move on to the fifth density, which is the wisdom density. And since I don't really know, way too much about all of the details there, it's just the knowledge and the understanding, right? So I'm not going to get too much into that. But then sixth density is where we're combining love and wisdom. So being able to really balance that heart and mind. Because, in fourth density, we can be kind of overrun with so much love without really balancing with the wisdom. Kind of like as we were talking before about really wanting to help people raise their vibrations because you love them so much. But is that wise? So in sixth density, then we can learn that balance of what is best, what is wise in that loving way, right? And in sixth density, where we are balancing that love and wisdom, anything negative possible falls away. It's just impossible to not see the unity in all things. And when you see the unity in all things, all you see is love. So in sixth density, nothing but positive, nothing but love. And this is where our higher self resides, in that sixth density. And then once we move on to seventh, that's really the unity density, where we then move on into the next step of the octave after we've learned about unity. And that's where our higher self totality actually exists too. So there's our higher self, and then there's our higher self totality, which is another step. But that plummets into something that I don't even understand. And I know a lot of even fifth and sixth density beings don't quite get that as well. And it's, it's okay. It's not for our understanding. We're here learning third density lessons, and that's hard enough. Like try to wrap your brain around the concept of infinity and grasp it for like a single second. And then you realize how much you have no freaking clue. Like really, it's so hard to fathom, and that's okay. It's not for this time. There's so many things to learn that we'll get there. Promise. We all get there because we all have a higher self. We all are existing in this grand time continuum of all of these densities, and it's happening all at once. So this higher self aspect or sixth density aspect of ourself is always looking back to our third density, our fourth density, our fifth density aspect, and helping us along the way. Because why? When we split off in the first place, we went out to learn, but we want to learn and then come back to creator. But in order to come back to creator, we have to successfully go through all the different densities, 1 through 7, and then get back. But we have to learn all those lessons in order to then come back to the oneness. And because in that sixth density, seventh density, we are back to being that group consciousness, this time inspirited, right? We have our souls, our minds. This time, now we understand that, okay, I need to learn all these lessons and I have to get back to this point, but I have to do it with my whole group. If there's one single soul that doesn't get it yet, then the whole group has to wait. So your higher self is here being like, come on, let's go. I'm going to help you along. I'm here to help you. So they're always with us, never, ever not with us, ever, 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 ever.
Before we continue on with today's episode, I'd like to take a quick moment to tell you about our sponsor, HelloFresh. HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit that makes it easy to skip trips to the grocery store by delivering farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes right to your door. And when it comes to options, let's be honest, variety is the spice of life. That's why HelloFresh's menu includes 40 recipes and over 100 add-on items to choose from every week. And if you're like me, your fall schedule doesn't leave you with much time to spare. With HelloFresh, you don't need to spend all evening in the kitchen to whip up a delicious and nutritious meal. With their quick and easy recipes and 15-minute meals, you can get dinner on the table in less time than it takes to get takeaway or delivery. When I tried HelloFresh myself for the first time recently, I was extremely impressed with the quality and flavor of everything that I prepared. So if you'd like to see and taste why HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit for yourself, go to hellofresh.com/50positivehead and use code 50positivehead for 50% off plus 15% off for the next 2 months. Once again, that's hellofresh.com/50positivehead and use code 50positivehead for 50% off plus 15% off the next 2 months. Bon appetit.
So they help us program into our life all the lessons that we needed to learn, and all of our contracts and help put those people into our path to help us learn these lessons. So unfortunately, sometimes, usually, a lot of these lessons that we chose to learn, we learn them through the hard times, through the difficult times. Think about all your most profound lessons in your life that you've ever learned. Most of them came out of difficult times, didn't they? How much do we learn when everything is peas and carrots and happy and rainbow unicorns pooping rainbows, right? Like, we don't learn that way. When you're in complete bliss and harmony all the time, where's the motivation to even seek out for any learning whatsoever? I mean, it's great, sure, but what do we really learn? I mean, I know for myself that the most difficult things, like experiencing the death of my mother, for example, when I was young and had a newborn baby, no, would I have ever chosen that for myself? Never in a million years. It was awful. But that is what really pushed me on this path of awareness, of seeking, of learning about my intuition and who my higher self is. Because if I didn't have that experience, I wouldn't have necessarily been pushed in that direction. So not to say I'm grateful for that. I mean, but I am. It's kind of a weird thing, right? To be grateful for something so awful. But what I'm grateful for is what I learned from it, if that makes sense. And I'm sure that there's times in your own life that you can look back and say, yeah, you know what? That was really hard, but I'm glad it happened because I learned from it. And I learned this most amazing thing. So we always have our higher self with us, right? Because it's a part of us. And one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this today is because we kind of have, doing the work that I do, I'm a QHT practitioner, and in that work, I talk to people's higher selves all the time. That's what it is. We get down to that aspect of everyone's mind, and everyone, and I shouldn't say everyone, but most people have a perception that higher self is like something outside of us. It's a different being. It's a different entity that kind of comes in like an angel and, kind of takes over us. And really that's not the way it is. It's part of us all the time. It's just, we don't recognize it as part of us. Just like any of our guides or masters that are working with us, all part of us. It's all us in this big time continuum. So I love that because, again, back to the group soul, that's all one at that point. So you could say, every single one of us is Buddha and Jesus and higher self and all the angels all at once, because we all are creator. Same thing. We're all one. So yeah, this is not something that's separate from us, but is us. And so since the higher self is always with you, always guiding us, we always have access to it. It's just, we have a hard time listening to it, right? So how do we listen? So one of the main things is we have to ask for help. That's the biggest thing. There's a law in the universe, and many of you Trekkies will understand the law of non-interference or the law of free will. So nobody can help us unless we ask. Again, back to that thing of helping people become more aware. They have to ask. We can't help unless the help is asked for. Otherwise, we're actually creating interference there, yeah? So same thing, our higher self understands this. So in order for them to help us, we have to ask, right? But what they're also doing, even when we're not asking, is sending us different signs and symbols and things that are kind of just like nudging us until we start to realize, oh, there's something there, right? What does this mean? So our higher self is always speaking with us through our dreams, through synchronicities, numbers, symbols, music, even nature. And this can be really, really confusing. I know when I first started trying to figure out what my higher self was trying to tell me, I used to get kind of pissed. Like, are you messing with me? Because this is not cool. Why are you doing this? You know, like, I'm trying to listen to you, but this is just confusing. And the reason why it's confusing is because they just can't lay it out for us. They just can't, like, you know, here's your test, at the same time, here's the answer key. Like, what do you learn from that, right? So you have to be able to, again, do this for yourself. So this is where the asking comes in. So when you're seeing different synchronicities, different numbers or symbols, and you're not quite sure what they mean, so this is where you start working with your higher self and you say, okay, you guys, what exactly are you trying to tell me? Talk to them, ask them questions. And then say, for example, you're seeing numbers. This is a big one. I love that when the universe talks to me in numbers. So we see the 111, 222, 333, 444, right? So on and so on. But what do they mean? And they can mean different things for each one of us. So we can define those symbols working with our higher self by talking to them. So basically, you know, you're having a thought. So first we want to pay attention. Big deal. Pay attention to these things that we're seeing out there. And once we see it, we can say, okay, now I've paid attention to that. What was I just thinking when I saw that symbol? And then you look to your higher self and you say, okay, what does that mean? To me, what it means, like, define it for yourself. So when I see 444, that means my guides are with me. My angels are with me. Along with this thought that I just had, you're now telling me you're with me and this is an appropriate thought. So when I see this number 444, you guys, that's what I'm going to think. So please don't show me that number if that's not what you mean to tell me, right? And they'll work with you. And you can do this for every single symbol, every single number, symbol, everything that you're seeing and hearing. I promise you, this is how they work with you. You just have to define it. And then it gets easier. And the more you do this, the stronger and stronger and stronger it gets. And that's the beauty in it. I absolutely love that. Like, how many times have you been thinking about someone and a song comes on that reminds you of them, and then you see a number, and then, you know, this thought that you were having is like totally in line with everything that you were just seeing. And then they call and you have this amazing conversation about something that really helps you out that day. Like, that is your higher self working. And it's the most beautiful thing ever. So, but the deal is that we have to pay attention. And if we don't pay attention, then it's like we're ignored, you know, and we don't want that. So I know it can be confusing and a little frustrating at times, but just, you know, it's okay. Everything begins and ends in mystery anyway. You know, that's just kind of the lay of the land. And rest in the knowing that, like, we'll all get there. We'll all know eventually. Absolutely, 100%, we will all get there. So one of the ways, too, to really get in touch with our higher self is to work on raising our vibration. Because once we raise our vibration, then we're getting closer and closer to that love vibration that the higher self is on. And it's easier for them to talk to us, too. So just a few tips in how to do that. So one, we always talk about here, meditation. This is a requirement. Absolutely 100% a requirement. Meditation is so hugely important. In that meditative state, it's really easy to talk to your higher self. Extremely easy. Once you learn how to listen. Yeah. They will talk to you as soon as you open your ears and your minds. They will talk to you all day, especially when you get in that state. And in that state, you can really learn what that voice is inside you, always with you. Another way is, I like this one a lot, turning off your television. Like, God, there's really so much there that isn't so positive. There's some good things there too, and we can be selective, but really turning off the television, turning off the news, and removing ourselves from social media sometimes is a really excellent way to raise our vibration, because everything we see and think of and that we hear is affecting our vibration. And I don't know how many of you watch the news, but that's not like a positive thing. It's only all the bad things for the most part that we see. And so I haven't watched the news for years and years and years. And I promise you, if there's something like world altering, I find out about it anyway. So, people always say to me, well, don't you want to be informed? Well, sometimes it just depends. I want to know the good stuff. I understand that there's bad stuff happening out there too, but the best thing that I can do is to keep my vibration in a loving, positive state. And that in that way, that's how I actually help the world. I don't help the world when I'm upset or angry or disagreeing in politics or religion or any of that other stuff that we see all around us in social media. Like, best thing I can do is to stay at peace and at love within my own being. And then I'm actually saving the world doing that. So another way we can raise our vibration is just simply going outside and just appreciating every single living being around you. Everything is alive. Everything. The wind, the rocks, believe it or not. This is all the elementals, all alive. The trees, the plants, the animals. And we talked a bit about before about your higher self using nature to send signs. Well, how many times has a butterfly come just as you were having a thought? And here comes the butterfly or the hummingbird. Those are my favorites. Hummingbirds tend to come when I'm thinking of like a deceased loved one. And either if I miss them or thinking about something that they've taught me. And then here comes the hummingbird. And it's like, it'll come like right in my face and be like, and it's the coolest thing, and I'm like, thank you. I see you. Thank you for that affirmation. These are all affirmations of our thoughts. And then, just paying attention to our thoughts. When we pay attention to where our thoughts are, not letting them snowball down into any sort of negative or disheveling way, really trying to get back to our positive thinking, this will help to raise our vibration. We also need to make sure we're taking care of our bodies, making sure that we're stretching and moving our bodies and really eating good foods, showing it love. It's not just our minds that we're worried about here. We're not worried about them, but that we're working on. But we got to take care of our bodies, and then do things that make you happy. So, a lot of times we try to think that, well, shopping makes me happy, but I probably shouldn't do it because it's not so good and I shouldn't be spending the money and blah, 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 right? But if that's making you happy, don't deprive yourself of it. Now, don't do it in excess either, right? But do the things that make you happy without depriving yourself of the things you love, if that makes sense, because it's kind of like you're doing the opposite then. If you're doing it out of necessity or because you're supposed to. Yeah. So remember to do things that you love and not because, and not do them because you're not supposed to. That deprivation is energetically disturbing. So those are just some quick tips on raising your vibration. Remember to pay attention to our thoughts, listen to our higher self, always with us, always guiding us. A lot of us in this journey, in this awakening journey, feel so alone sometimes. And I see this all the time. So most of us start off this journey and we are alone, surrounded by a bunch of people who don't get what we get. And there's a reason for that. we're supposed to feel alone so that we can remember that we're not, right? It's like a motivation for us to like get out there and find our tribe and really figure out what we want in our lives and where we want to focus our energies. So knowing that even just with our higher self always being with us, that we are never alone, that we have this insane group of guides and masters and our higher self with us all the time, helping us, we can never truly be alone. So no matter how much it feels that way, we never really truly are. So I think that's the take home. You're never alone. We're always being guided. It's just a matter of how much we can listen to it. Yeah. So I hope that and pray and send out so much love to all of you and hope that raising our vibrations and listening to our higher self is helping to heal the planet, heal ourselves, heal our families, our relationships. And yeah, I love you all. I'm going to leave us today with a song from Fia called Message for Humanity. Hope you all enjoy. Till next time.
I am a vessel, it's not about me. I'm bringing a message for humanity. Awaken the mind, open the heart. Feel that make love in your belly. From here we start to build the world we want to see. One where people feel that they are worthy and they sing. I know who I am. I know who I am. I am a leader, a bringer of change, keeper of wisdom and ancient ways. Awaken the mind, open the heart, feel that make love in your belly. From here we start to build the world we want to see. One where people feel that they are worthy and they sing. I know who I am. 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 On behalf of creation, I invite you to rise. Your assistance is needed at these crucial times. Awaken the mind, open the heart, feel that make love in your belly. Awaken the mind, open the heart, feel that make love in your belly. Awaken the mind, open the heart, feel that make love in your belly. Awaken the mind, open the heart, feel that make love in your belly. From here we start to build the world we want to see. One where people feel that they are worthy and they sing.